Alright, for the birthday vlog, we are not at Resorts World. We are not at South Point. We are someplace new. We are at Red Rock. I got permission to vlog here, so we're gonna get in and hit the 1-2 streets here at Red Rock Resort and see if we can't run it up. I will see you all at the tables. All right, this episode's going to be a little bit different. We're not taking things too seriously. It's our birthday. We're here to have a good time and have some fun. First hand, we look down at Pocket Kings. Under the gun, I raise it up to 12, and we get a call from the low jack, who is on a short stack. She's playing about maybe $40, $45 effective. And everyone else gets out of the way, so we are going to go heads up here to a flop. Flop comes down 9-8-7 with 2 diamonds, very draw heavy board. Again, she's only got maybe $35-ish remaining, so I just go ahead and put her all in. She snap calls, and we are going to go heads up here to a run out. Let's see if our Pocket Kings can hold.
Well, that worked.
We'll see. I have an overpair.
We need a 6 or Jackie.
Oh, diamonds.
Diamond. Show me what you're working with. Let's go. Pocket Queen. Oh, Pocket Queen.
She turns over the ladies, Pocket Queens, and our Kings are in fact good. I was a little concerned when I saw the diamond come on the turn, but we did hold here to win a small pot to start the night. Good way to kick things off. Let's see what we can do the rest of this session. Moving on to the next hand, we pick up Pocket Nines in the big blind. It folds around to the button, who decides to raise it up to 7. I'm going to go ahead and defend here with Pocket Nines. I put in the call, so we're going heads up to a flop, which gives us top set on a very wet board. 9-8-7 with 2 hearts. I check to the raiser, who checks back very quickly. I think we rate to have the best hand here, but when we see the 10 of diamonds on the turn, I don't like that card very much. I think he can have a lot of jacks in his range. It goes check, check. We see an even worse card on the river, the Jack of Hearts. Now I think it's pretty much guaranteed a chop pot, and that is exactly what happens, and we lose a lot of value here with our set of 9s. All right, the first table was full of a bunch of fun folks, but unfortunately they had a lot of short stacks at the table. So I made a table change and moved over to one that has more money on the table. First playable hand we pick up at the new table is Queen 10 of spades on the button. We get a limper in middle position. Everyone else folds to me on the button, so I decide to raise this up. I make it 10 to go. Folds to the middle position limper, who decides to put in the call, and we see a flop of Queen 8-7 with 2 clubs. Pretty wet dynamic board. Middle position player checks. I'm going to be c-betting here about 100% of the time, so I fire out $15. And the middle position player pretty quickly calls, so we're going to go heads up to a turn, which is the Jack of Hearts. Not the greatest card in the deck, so when the middle position player checks, I decide to exercise a little pot control and check back, and we see the deuce of spades on the river. Now the player in middle position decides to put in a bet. They fire out for $35 here on this river. This feels like a bluff to me. It feels like they might be turning missed flush draw into a bluff. They might be betting a hand like a middling pocket pair, like sixes or fives, and turning those into a bluff, trying to get me off a hand like maybe an 8 or a 7, or they might think I have a missed flush draw. But I decide to go ahead and put in the call. He says good hand. Forgive me, I don't remember exactly what he showed, but it was a pure bluff. I show our top pair, and we win this pot.
Line made no sense.
All right, the poker gods are trying to reward us and trying to give us gifts for our birthday. We get pocket kings again, this time in middle position. I raise it up to 12, and we get one caller, the hijack, going heads up to a flop of queen 7-6 with 2 spades. I'm going to be c-betting this. I make it 15 to go. Unfortunately, the hijack thinks $15 is too steep of a price to continue on this flop. They quickly release their hands. We win a small pot with our pocket kings. All right, we look down at a very pretty ace-7 of hearts in the hijack. When it folds over to me, I decide to go ahead and raise this up. I make it 10 to go. Cutoff decides to put in the call, and the button decides to go ahead and put in the call. Both the small blind and the big blind get out of the way. So we're going to go 3 ways here to a flop, which comes down king 10 for rainbow. I decide to check here. I do have a backdoor flush draw, but not much else going on. Both the cutoff and the button check as well, so we go 3 ways to a turn, which gives us top pair. It's the ace of clubs. I go ahead and bet 15 here, and both of my opponents quickly fold. So we end up taking down another small pot here with our beautiful ace-7 of hearts.
I know, right?
All right, while this new table that we've moved over to has more money on the table, unfortunately, it's been playing much, much tighter than the first table I was on. Just as an example of this, we pick up pocket 7s under the gun. We end up raising this to what I think is a pretty reasonable bet here, $11 to go. And everyone gets out of the way. So they all fold here. And this had been a pretty common theme since I sat down at the table, which we're going to see here in a couple more examples. All right, here's another example of just how tight this table is playing. We've got ace-5 of spades on the button. We've got a couple of limpers in the pot in front of us. I decide to go ahead and raise this up on the button with position to target some of the limpers. And I just make it a small $10 raise. And everyone decides $10 is too expensive, and they all get out of the way. So we end up winning another one here with no resistance. All right, this one has me thinking we might need to request another table change. I pick up pocket queens under the gun +1. I raise it up. I make it 12 to go. We end up getting a call by a middle position player who puts in the $12 call. Everyone else decides to go ahead and get out of the way. So we are going to go heads up here to a flop. Flop comes down 9-6 deuce rainbow. I, of course, am going to fire out a small c-bet here. I make it 15 to go, and the player quickly folds. So once again, we're not getting too much action on this table. We're not getting paid with our pairs, with our premium holdings. Might be time to put in a request for another table change. Here we go again. We've got pocket 9s. This time we are in the hijack. We do have a couple limpers that enter the pot in front of us, and of course I'm going to be raising up my pair. I make it Standard 12 to go here when we've got a couple of limpers in the pot. Everyone folds yet again, so you guys can get a sense of just how tight this table was playing. Not really great here, and the session isn't really moving along or gaining any momentum on this table. This next one, we pick up ace, queen offsuit. We're in the cutoff. Folds over to the hijack, who decides to put in the $2 call. I'm going to be raising this up. I make it 12 to go, trying to isolate with the limper in the hijack, and that is indeed what we do. We get one caller in the hijack, going heads up here to a flop. Flop comes down ace 4-3, giving us top pair with a good kicker. Hijack quickly checks. I decide to go a little bit larger here because there are some draws out there, flush draws, straight draws. I make it 20 to go. The hijack hits the eject button very quickly and throws his cards into the muck. So we end up taking down yet another small pot on this table, getting a little bit frustrated at this point. Be careful what you wish for, because the poker gods will reward you with that exact thing. I'm looking for some action. We pick up king jack of hearts under the gun +1. I raise it up. I get called by a middle position player and the button, so we're going three ways here to a flop. Flop comes down, giving us top pair, jack 5-3 rainbow. I decide to go ahead and continue firing here. I make it $20 to go. We've got a couple players in the pot. I want to put some pressure on at least one of them, hopefully get this heads up going to the turn, but that is not what happens. Both players put in the call, and we see the 4 of clubs on the turn. So this completes the most obvious straight draws, 7-6, ace-deuce. Brings in a backdoor flush draw as well. I decide to keep betting here. I'm curious what you all think about this line. Is it better to check call here or to keep betting? I think when we bet, we open ourselves up to a raise, and that's exactly what happens. The middle position player instantly decides to go ahead and jam in his entire stack, which is around another 180 to call for me. I'm not loving this spot. I don't think we're in a good situation. I think he's going to show up here with the straight pretty often. Yes, he could have the flush draw, but I think for the most part we're losing here, so I reluctantly decide to let my hand go. All right, guys, last hand of this session, we end up picking up pocket kings again on the button this time. We get a raise in the hijack to 12. I'm going to be putting in the 3-bet. I settle on a sizing of 40 to go. Want to incentivize the small blind to big blind to get out of the way so we can get heads up with this player who looks at the bet, asks how much, and says nice re-raise, and folds his hand. So we take down another one with no action. I know this hasn't been the most exciting session, and I thought long and hard about whether or not I should post these hands, but I think this paints a realistic picture of how things play sometimes at these games. I know we have a vision in our mind that 1-2 is extremely loose and passive, but sometimes it plays very tight passive as well. All right, guys, we are in the car and headed back home. It's currently about 9:15 in the evening. Played for about 3.5 hours and couldn't get anything going. Just table was super tight. I did do a table change, and the second table was no better. So it was just really hard to get anything positive going, any positive momentum. So we were in the game for $400. It was like $390. We were in the game for $390, and we cashed out for $369 for a loss of $21. $21. Oh, and I tipped the cashier $4. So throw that in there as well. Yeah, not all that exciting. Just a lot of OMCs, nits, not a lot of action, and yeah, I just couldn't really get much going this session. So I hope you guys enjoyed the hands. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please do hit the like button. please subscribe to the channel. Leave any comments that you may have about the hands or anything related to the vlog below, and I will get back to you. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss future episodes, and I will plan on seeing you in the next episode, which we'll be playing somewhere different in the next episode, and hopefully there will be more action to be had. So I will see you all then. Until then, be well, be good to one another, and good luck at the tables.